All right, in today's episode, we are going to be talking all about Instagram highlights. Are they important? Are they not important? What's the point? So, today might be a little bit shorter, but it's going to be very, very actionable episode, as you are going to walk away from it knowing exactly how to harness the power of Instagram highlights. And yes, they are super powerful. So, for those of you who do not know yet what an Instagram highlight is, essentially, Instagram highlights are, well, they're located directly below an Instagram bio, and they are those small round circles, and they act as a way to save your stories that you post on your Instagram for forever, as opposed to just 24 hours. So maybe you already have some Instagram highlights, or maybe you don't. Either way, this episode is for you. The best way that I can explain why you need to have Instagram highlights on your beauty business Instagram account and why you are missing out on a whole lot of potential new client revenue is by relating them to your business website. So I want you to think about your website for a second. As you know, on your business website, you have at least a few different pages, right? My guess is that you've probably got the About Us page, the Policies page, the Meet Our Team page, and so on and so forth. So right now, I want you to think of your current or future Instagram highlights that you create. I want you to think of them as website pages, because that is exactly what they are. They are there so that you can have a specific set of information pertaining to one specific topic, which is why you can only name them one thing, right? Like, you can't name them multiple things, it's just specific to one thing. And it's why you can also have multiple of them on your Instagram account. So for example, you could have almost the exact same ones as your website pages. So if you want your followers to know your terms and policies, for example, without having them to go search for it on your website, you simply make a highlight filled with stories about your specific policies. You create these on Canva, or however you want to create them. You can make a whole story about that, all these stories about that, and then save it to that specific highlight. Probably what I would name it is policies. Another example would be a team highlight, where you could feature all of the members of your team in just one highlight, so people can get to know your team members without having to go, search on your website, go to your page and figure out who's who and what they specialize in. You could literally just dedicate an entire Instagram highlight specifically for that. What's great and so powerful about highlights, and what I love about them so much, is that they are one of the very, very first things that new followers, aka potential future paying clients of yours, see when they first discover your business Instagram account, which means your highlights need to be top notch, as it's very, very possible that these new followers that you get, or these new viewers that happen to land on your business Instagram account, they're going to be able to possibly make a decision on whether or not your business is for them based on the specific info they get from you and your highlights. So, hopefully that makes sense. So here are my top 4 tips to help you up your Instagram highlight game. If you have not gotten started on the whole highlight game, and you're a little behind, and you keep wondering why people have highlights and you just don't know how it works, hopefully these will help you get started. And if you already do have a bunch of highlights, I think these tips are going to really, really help you narrow down on what specific highlights you need, and really to harness the power of it. So the first tip I have for you is, do not overcrowd your highlights, okay? Although you have the ability to have dozens upon dozens of several different highlights, I need you to resist. Try to keep it to a maximum of 7 at the most. I want you to picture this. I was just on somebody's Instagram the other day, a beauty professional, and they have a decent feed, but I kept scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through their highlights because they had, I think I counted, it was 72 different highlights. Okay, that is way too many, like 65 more highlights than you should have. Keep it to 7 max. Do not exceed that, because if you think about it, put yourself, like I always say, put yourself in your followers' shoes, in your potential paying clients' shoes. Like, do they have all day to go through every single highlight of yours and read it through every single story within those highlights? No, of course they don't. They don't want to do that. They just need specific information from you that's going to help them decide if you're legit and if they want to hire you for your specific services. So keep it to a max of 7. Number 2, make specific brand aligned highlight covers by going into Canva. That's what I suggest. That's how I have created all of my highlights. Go to canva.com and type in Instagram highlight and choose a cover, edit it however you want, but choose one that is consistent with your brand colors and fonts if you have them. And I want you to keep them uniform. Like, although we don't ever, on this podcast, I don't ever tell you to strive for perfection, there is such a thing as looking professional, and there's certain tiny little tweaks just like this one that can help you come across more professional. It's actually visually pleasing to the human brain and the eye when they can process it. It actually allows people to process your information a lot quicker and without having to scratch the head or wondering, what to do next. So just trust me when I say go into Canva, create specific highlights. All you got to do is create one highlight, and then the only thing you're gonna edit once you've got the colors down and everything is just the name of your highlight. So within that highlight, you could create, like if you go to my Instagram at Salon Owner Success, you'll see that I have highlights. They all look exactly the same, except the verbiage, inside that highlight is different. So I'll just type in, what are my highlights? Tips, or BTS, which means behind the scenes. You'll see this on several other people's highlights. So just do that. Make it consistent with your brand colors and fonts if you have them in your business, which you should. So number 3, do not feel like you have to save every single story you post into one of your highlights. I see this mistake all the time. Make sure you are saving some of your best ones in the most relevant highlight you have. Not every story you post is worthy to go in a highlight, and that's completely fine. Maybe you post a picture, today is, or this weekend or whatever, it's Father's Day or Mother's Day, and you post a picture of you and your mom because it's Mother's Day, and it's just more of a personal post, and you post it to your story. Guess what? You don't have to put that in any of your highlights. Just make sure they're relevant. And then this kind of goes with the next tip, which is tip number 4. You do not want a million different stories inside a single highlight, because there's a massive chance nobody is going to take the time to get through all of them. It's just the same as having 70 different highlights on your Instagram page. The same goes for, even if you have 4 specific highlights, and somebody clicks on it and they see you've posted like 80 to 100 different stories that you saved in there, there is a massive chance that nobody is going to take the time out of their precious day to go through all of them, which means they're probably going to miss some important information that's hidden within that highlight. So make sure you don't add all these different stories to highlights just because you can, just for the hell of it. Like, avoid that. Make sure they're specific to the highlight. Make sure they're relevant to that highlight. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this episode all about Instagram highlights. Hope you got a lot out of it and take massive action within your Instagram highlights, now knowing the crazy power behind them. I will see you on the next episode, my badass beauty pros.